One. Oh, I lost my ear. I lost my ear. Is that the first thing you're going to hear about this broadcast tonight? Is I lost my ear. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Thanks for joining me here tonight, live with David, and I'm your host, of course, David Burrows, here in Sarnia, Ontario, Canada. As I remember watching Jim Carrey, I keep thinking of that old commercial, Ontario, a place to go, a place that we have to figure that out. And maybe my guest and I will sing that. I know I could talk him into it. We're going to have a lot of fun here tonight, live with David. Thanks for joining me. And I'm not exactly sure what we're in for, to be honest with you. And that's the fun about my next guest is we're probably going to have a lot of laughs. We're probably going to have some serious talks. Then we're going to laugh some more, and we're just going to share. And he's an inspiring guy and a funny guy and a pretty knowledgeable guy, too. Wow. He better be good, eh? And I can honestly say that I'm glad that him and I met. I'm not even sure how our paths first crossed, but I'm glad that they did because he's been very supportive of me and what I do and very helpful. So I'm just going to tell you right now, this guy who is in my hometown as well, we're going to bring him online. His name is Jay Peckham, and you're going to get a little chance in a bit to talk to him as well. There he is. Jay, how are you?
I'm really good, Dave.
That's awesome for you to be here.
But holy crap, the pressure, man.
I know. I really pumped you up good, eh?
That was a heck of a
did I do it? Did I do it right? Because I just took it from that script you sent me.
Close enough. I'll forgive you this time.
Well, it really is fantastic to have you here because boy, there's so much that you and I are going to talk about tonight, and it really doesn't surprise me that you're here on this show tonight when I look back at some things we've been doing together and things you do and things we both do that kind of just intermingle. And I always get told all the time what a busy guy I am and how do I do it, and I think, oh my goodness, have you met Jay Peckham?
Yeah, and it's really funny because I think the thing for me is as much as I claim to be, busy all the time, most people think it's like an excuse and stuff, and it's not really an excuse. I'm not, I'm not looking for sympathy for being busy. I'm busy by choice, and I love it. So, it's just something. There's plenty of time to sleep when you're, 6 feet under.
Well, that's what I say. I'll sleep when I'm dead, right?
Exactly, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So, busy guy for sure.
Let's start with the Jay Peckham that, one of the things I've always found interesting about you is the multiple circles that you're involved with. And I can relate. I kind of do the same thing, but your circles kind of interlink and cross with each other. But obviously the most important is your family. And,
absolutely.
And being a dad, right?
Yeah, truthfully, I mean, you mentioned a serious part, and I'll start with the serious part real quick, is that my dad, I mean, I love him to death. He's my father and everything, but he's admittedly not a particularly good father, and he left when I was, I guess, 7. And I think for the longest time, and I was the oldest of 3. I've got a brother and a sister younger than I am, and I think for me, every other kid on the block wanted to be, like a fireman or a policeman or something like that. They want to drive a cool car, have lots of money or whatever. I just wanted to be a good dad. That was it. That was my goal in life, and from a very early age. And you know what? I have to say, I love being a father. Bar none, that is the coolest job on the planet.
Yeah.
And the relationship that I've managed to foster with my own children is awesome. Really awesome. So it's just something I had to do. I wanted to do, and I'm really enjoying it.
And how old are the kids now?
So I have 3. Emily's 21. Emily's off. She just finished her first year at Laurier University in Bachelor of Health Sciences, and she's going back in September. She's working 2 full-time jobs over the summer. Okay. So if you happen to be down around in the Point, you want to go give her the gears, you can stop in at Susie's ice cream emporium there. And
we were just there the other day.
And my daughter works in there a couple of days a week and stuff. So yeah, and
so I'm gonna walk in there and I'm gonna order ice cream and I'm gonna go, yeah, have you met that Jay Peckham guy? He's kind of a...
Exactly. She'll agree with you, though. That's the best part.
Sorry, carry on. Yeah.
Yeah, and then my son, my namesake, John Robert Peckham Jr., which there's a whole other story in there. We call him Jack. Jack is 16, about to be 17 in July.
Oh, nice.
And then my youngest is Nicholas, and Nicholas is grade 9, St. Pat's. We had some really good news today. He's been struggling pretty hard with his French marks. And we've spent a good day and a half of really coaching him through learning some study habits at high school. The transition from elementary school to high school was a real challenge for him in terms of study habits and being able to, sort of get in the groove. He's a sports guy, 6'5".
Where did you get that from?
Well, I mean, I'm not exactly a small feller, if you've met me, and my wife's 5'10", so Catherine's a tall girl, and there's some height in her family and stuff like that. But yeah, big guy, athlete, but he rewrote a test today that he only got a 25 on last time, got a 98 on it this time, so we're pretty happy celebrating Nicholas today. That's
awesome. Way to go, Nicholas, if he's watching out there. And you mentioned your wife there. She's obviously, how long have you been married?
Love of my life. Now, so Catherine and I have been married, it'll be 23 years this July. And we actually dated for almost 5 years before we ended up getting married. I mean, it was just, it's something, today there's a lot of stuff that sometimes gets lost in that sort of courtship, that getting comfortable with each other, and that sort of learning about each other, that we tend to rush through a lot of things. We rush through a lot of things these days, but that's one of the things we just didn't want to rush. And
good choice.
And it was a great choice, and then, until of course there was the one day. See, my wife, she loves jewelry, and so it's. I mean, really, who doesn't, right?
Is she watching? Careful.
Oh, probably somewhere she probably is, but so it was not unusual for us to be kind of wandering through a mall, and she would just kind of duck into every jewelry store. I'd turn around, oh, where'd she go? And she's in a jewelry store, right? Well, we were in the jewelry store in Birchwood Mall. And we found a set of rings that, we both liked, which was really sort of the first thing we'd really mutually liked together. Because the truth is that Catherine and I, personality-wise, are very, very different.
Okay.
But anyway, we found this set of rings, and we both liked it, which was really unusual. So we kind of looked at each other, because it was a trio set, right? The wedding bands and the engagement ring, and we're going, the rings. And if they're stupid enough to give us the credit, well, then I guess fate has just given us our marching orders or whatever, right? It didn't even take them 3 seconds. Just approved, just like that.
Wow.
So then it took us about 3 weeks to try and figure out how we were going to tell her father that we were engaged. So that's my engagement story, and I'm sticking to it.
That's cool. That's a great story. And 23 years of marriage.
And I love her more today than I did the day I met her. So, it just keeps getting better and better. We have a lot of fun together, and she has her things. I have my things. We have the things that we do together. We have the kids. It works out, after 23 years, do I have any secrets? Yeah, the secret is honest to God. The secret is not to have secrets.
Yeah,
I have to tell you, David, seriously, that is the biggest thing that will kill relationships. Secrets they're time bombs. These are ticking grenades. It's nasty.
You brought that up because Jennifer and I, of course, we're getting married the end of August, and
congratulations, by the way. I haven't said that to you, but
that's awesome. Yeah, no, thank you. And so we've been having these conversations as well, right? And about what makes a good marriage and stuff, and that one's always come up. And we've both been married before, so of course we're comparing.
Yeah.
And it even starts with as simple as Okay, but don't tell your dad.
Yeah, yeah.
Seriously, because
yeah.
I've always thought you say that to your kids, and so I don't know if you said that to your kids or not, but
Never.
I mean, you're basically, I think if you say that, you're teaching your kids it's okay to lie.
Yeah, and you know what? It really is a question of that. The only thing that's managed to help us survive having 3 children, because as soon as the children outnumber the parents, you're in trouble. You know that, right?
Well, I only have 2, so I'm good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a good thing my vote counts for 2 in this household, because otherwise we're outnumbered, and it's not a good deal,
so
right?
You say.
but you know, the truth of the matter is one of the things that has managed to help us survive that whole having children thing was the fact that we were always on the same page. My children, they hate the fact that they've never been able to play us off against each other, because you know, Catherine and I, we talk every night. Before we go to bed, it's always we just chat. You know, how's your day going, and you know what's happening, and that kind of thing. So that's the secret. No secrets. That's the secret.
That's awesome. That's great advice.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. Thanks for sharing that, though. So I'm just going to take a minute here and tell everybody that they can talk to you. We've got some viewers out there.
For sure.
If you want to come on in here now, you could be watching from different places out there, folks. We've shared this link around to different groups and pages on Facebook, but the best place to watch it from is on the Video Show Network, our page, the Video Show Network. It's facebook.com/TVSN World. And come in there and you can make your comments, and we'll share your comments or questions you have with Jay. And if you're brave enough to get in front of the camera and the microphone, we'll bring you into the green room here, and then
it's not that scary, folks.
Well, I'm kind of hoping there's a couple of your buddies out there. Like, I'm hoping maybe Kip might join in. I don't know what he's doing tonight, and maybe Mark Anderson. But whoever you are, you're welcome. There's a link on the Video Show Network page. You just click on that. It doesn't bring you on live right away, so it brings you in the green room. We have to make sure you have your clothes on and all that sort of stuff, right? So,
absolutely.
Well, at least for this broadcast.
It's prime time, folks. Prime time.
That's right. And it's the internet. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. You know, and I know your wife, and I've only met your one son. I haven't met the others, but you know, it's interesting when you meet people and you meet your friends, and you meet your friends' family. You can just tell that things are good.
Yeah, things are good.
I mean, they're not perfect, but things are good. And they're handled good, and whatever struggles come along, you can just tell. So I've always gotten that sense from you from the first time I met you, and I actually knew Catherine before I knew you. And
yeah.
So let's go into some of the cool things that you do. And
okay,
and it's only a 1-hour show, just so you know.
Oh man! All right,
but, let's go to Theatre Sarnia.
Okay,
I know that's a big one for you, and you've been involved in that for quite some time.
Yeah, absolutely. And the theater is honestly probably, you know, next to my family, is one of my first loves. I've been doing theater since I was 8 years old, and I love being involved in the theater. And right now I'm the chair of the board of directors at Theatre Sarnia, and which is you know, it's a big to do. I was honestly surprised when they asked me to do it the first time, and I'm happy that they did.
Why would you be surprised?
Well, you know, because Theatre Sarnia has really changed rather dramatically over the last probably 10 or 20 years, you know,
for sure.
From the moment they purchased the Imperial Theatre as an entertainment venue, you know, things changed for them. And the challenge was that, you know, at that time, before they did this, it was just a group of people that really loved to do theater. And because they didn't own anything or whatever, all they had to do was, you know, as long as a show was self-sustaining, you could do as many shows as you wanted in a season, and just, you know, you'd kind of come and go. And as long as they were self-sufficient, it wasn't really a major challenge. But when you buy a venue, you know, now you've got this huge expense, and you've got to have staff to maintain it, and you have to have, now you've got obligations, and it's annual obligations, and month to month, you've got payroll to meet and all those sorts of things. And so the real demands for the theater to have it become sort of a little more business-like was really high. And so they struggled a little bit for a while trying to find, I guess, the right, sort of the right mix between the board of directors and the executive director, and managing to get shows done, but also maintain the building and do all of those things. And there were a bunch of places where sort of maybe the mix just wasn't right. There was maybe too much business and not enough theater, and because they really are counterpoint kind of elements in this. Generally creative doesn't tend to be very businesslike, and the business stuff doesn't tend to be very creative in some cases, I guess. But
there has to be a balance, right?
It has to be a real balance, and trying to find someone. And I think my surprise at being elected to being the chair. I mean, I've been on the board for 4.5 years, 5 years, almost 5 years now. But I think my surprise is really that there are some really, really incredibly talented people involved in this organization. And I never really quite saw myself that way, I guess. I mean, I know I come off, and if you ask all my friends, they're going to tell you how big my ego is. And I guess,
no.
Yeah, well, no. See,
I'm guilty too. I get where you're coming from.
And the truth is that as much as I maybe have that as my part of my public persona, the truth is when they asked me to be the chair of the board, I'm like, really me? Like I see 3 other really good choices here. Like, what are we doing, right? So. Yeah. So to a degree, I was a bit surprised, but on the other hand, I'm happy because, I think some of the things that I'd like to think I've brought to the organization is that understanding of that balance that's needed. I mean, I have business in my background. I have some information technology in my background, but my heart belongs to the theater. I do this because it's fun. I do it because it's therapy. I do it because, as a creative outlet.
Well, it's not for the money.
No, it's certainly not for the money. But I mean, it gives me an opportunity to really sort of express myself in a lot of ways that, most people don't normally get to. I think it's really funny because I was having a conversation the other day about the theater, and this is one of the things I really, really begrudge right now is the fact that the arts are disappearing from our schools, because the thing that really kills me the most about that is that theater and drama classes, these are classes that teach you the kind of key life skills that most people are really lacking right now. I mean, doing theater gives you confidence. You can learn confidence in yourself in drama class. You learn to communicate properly. You learn how to, sort of be a public speaker. You learn how to, sort of overcome fears and challenges. It teaches you to be analytic. It teaches you to think outside the box. It teaches you to be creative. Like, all of these critical life skills come from drama class. Sometimes it just kills me that it's not just every school should be a drama school with math and, that other stuff on the side. Yeah. But,
well, you got a fan out there that's, there's Ed. Sorry, Ed, if I'm not saying that right.
It's McMiniman, actually.
Oh, McMiniman.
That's my buddy, Uncle Big Rick. We call him Rick Venema.
So he's saying, you're great behind the scenes and what you're doing, but you need to get back on the stage. And I tend to agree with him. The last time you were on stage was when?
Last time I was on stage was 2 years ago. We did a show called The Clean House. By Sarah Rule, which is a wonderful show. directed by Holly Wenning, and we went all the way to Theatre Ontario and won at Theatre Ontario level, which was absolutely amazing. But it was an incredible play, and it was. I want to say it was very well done. It's unfortunate that some of these dramas don't get seen by as many people as they could, but incredible, thought-provoking, very inspiring play, and some amazing performers. I was so happy to be on stage with my friends Megan Hadley and Henry Canino, and I mean, it was an incredible cast.
Well, and it showed when you won the Western Ontario Drama League division. So and I remember that. That was awesome. Well, let's move on to some other subjects here. But just before we do, I remind everybody. First of all, thank you for watching and taking the time to join us here on Live with David.
Absolutely.
Jay Peckham, a man of many talents, and I mean that when I say that. And if you'd like to talk to Jay, or if you got some comments. I did see somebody else on my personal page say hi, so I'll say hi, Bill. I just happened to catch it. But the best place if you're going to make your comments is head on over to our Facebook page, the Video Show Network, or it's facebook.com/TVSN World, and we'll definitely see your comments and we can share them here, just like Ed did. So thanks, Ed, for sharing that as well. Jay, sports is kind of like a main thing for you as well. And I know, like, this has kind of worked out for you and I. We got in, the Sarnia Sting. I started doing some broadcasting and some, I don't know what you call it that I'm doing, posting or whatever. And then I thought, geez, I got to have another element here. And there was no question in my mind. You were just the first guy that popped into my head. And I think
I remember running into you that day down at First Friday downtown, and we talked about, why would the Sting even pick you? I think with your comment to me, I'm like,
I remember my buddy saying to me, like, hey, great gig, you're doing that with the Sting. How'd you pull that off? Because you can't even spell sports, right? That's what they said to me.
Exactly.
And I still tell people, I say, I don't have to. I'm the guy with the tie and the microphone. And now I got Jay Peckham here.
Yeah. And you know what? It's really funny because I was not a sports guy. I mean, in high school, I was a theater geek. I mean, I was that I always had some geeky clothes on that my mother dressed me in. Like, I mean, I was Captain of the Chess. I was playing Dungeons and Dragons before it was even cool. And I'm not sure that it was ever cool, but
I don't think so.
I mean, like, I was that guy. I started smoking. I was 11 years old when I started smoking. I mean, I was just, sports was the furthest thing from my mind, sort of growing up. And it wasn't really until I think it was in my 40s that, and I started actually, by the time my kids started realizing that they were active and wanted to play sports and had some fun with that, I think I really sort of started feeling that need to be involved. And I remember my dad taking me to Marley's games years and years and years ago, I mean, it was always fun. So I started taking my kids to see Sting games, and I just loved it. I mean, the caliber of hockey going on there was incredible. So I bought season tickets because I just really liked going. And as it turned out, I had some friends of mine going, "Oh, you go to the Sting games? I'd love to go to Sting games." I'm like, all right, let's do this, right? So what we ended up doing was we ended up with, like, at one point we had 9 guys. We bought 5 seats. We do a seat draft at the beginning of every year, and it was just a guys' night out. Anytime there was a Sting game, we'd go have a beer or two, watch a hockey game, and have some fun. So, I've been following this Sting for about 14, 15 years, and then as it turns out, I got a buddy of mine, Mark Anderson, who was the strength and conditioning coach for them for a bit. So I got the inside scoop.
About that, yeah.
And then there was, then there was the day where we, my wife needed some room in the freezer, so she pulled out a turkey in the middle of September and thought, I better make a big turkey dinner. And we invited, like, everybody we could imagine. And as it turns out, one of my daughter's friends asks if she can bring a guest, and she brought Kevin Spinozzi, the captain, who was then he was just a defenseman for the Sting, and I got to know Kevin pretty good, and he was a great guy, and through the 3 or so years that he was there, we we kept in touch a lot, and so I love it, and there's some strategy to it. So I'm a big strategy guy, so I love sort of trying to talk strategy around hockey.
Well, and you talk, well, let's talk strategy. I mean, when I invited you or threw the idea to you about doing behind the net at the Sarnia Sting games, what was our strategy?
Yeah. Well, I'm not so.
I mean, I think we pulled it off, but I think we just clicked.
I think that's it, because it's funny because I don't know that there was a strategy. I mean, I think it developed over time, and I love that. Some things just kind of come out through nature, and that was a good thing.
And I remember the first one we did, and you said to me, "So what are we doing?" I said, "I'm just turning on the microphone, and
let's see what happens.
Let's see how it goes." And you're like, "Okay," and that's. And I think, and we do, and it's not a top secret thing. We just would have a conversation before every time we went live, and I would say, "Okay, what do you want to talk about? Where do you want to go?" And I'd say, "Okay, I'll lead into that," and that's what we do, and it's and we're going to do it again this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. I got my season tickets.
We're going to do it live this year.
Are we going to do it live? Well, yes.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, it's the power of improv. I mean, I got to tell you,
I actually like live better.
Yeah, I do too. And on top of live, I mean, that's why I do theater instead of movies, right? Yeah. I love the live piece, but I also, even more so, I think probably my closest passion, and big shout out to my buddy Dan White, who recently retiring from skits. Well, Great Lakes, I guess. But Dan and I had an improv group that we called Collateral Damages.
Oh, yeah.
And oh my God, we had so much fun with that. And you know what? I mean, nice to get back to that. But improvisation is a real skill. And it's one that I love it to pieces. I really do.
Too. And I think that's probably why we click, because I'm the same way.
I think it's a good part.
I always, my karaoke days and all that stuff, I always just winged it, right?
Absolutely.
So. What's the Co-Ed Family Fun League? Sounds like fun.
Yeah. So, So about the same time I started getting into the Sting, I had a friend of mine who invited me on to a baseball team that plays, sort of fat old guy beer drinking two pitch at Germain Parks on Sunday mornings. I mean, who the heck gets up at Sunday morning at 9 o'clock to play baseball in 40-degree weather? Well, that would be me. So,
good for you.
Absolutely. But it was a ton of fun. Originally it was the media team. So, it was a bunch of the old Blackburn folks, some of the papers. It was Rick Smith and a number of guys from that era that there's some of them are still in media, but it was the media team at the time. And then about 2 years into it, the media team kind of folded, and I got involved with Team Xtreme, which I think you've got a graphic for Team Xtreme too at some point. But Team Xtreme plays in the CFFL, and Team Xtreme was really sort of my first connection to it. So when the media team kind of went under, we started Team Xtreme, and there was my buddy Tom Fowlis and Lloyd Blondin and DJ Robbins and a few others, and so we had this two pitch team, and this was another one of those things where we had no idea how we were going to get where we were going, but we had a pretty good vision. All we wanted to do was have a lot of fun. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So Team Xtreme, we have never won a season. We've never won a tournament. We've won a few games, but we kind of spread it out a little bit. And because frankly, we're the team that everybody wants to play.
Yeah.
I mean, we're the team where at the very first game,
they knew they were playing you. Everybody showed up early.
We had 30 people would show up on day one, and then they would get upset because there wasn't enough. We had enough to field 3 teams. I mean, truthfully.
Wow.
And then it would always dwindle down a little bit and stuff like that. But I mean, it was it was the right team at the right time, and we, and then it got to the point where at one point the Team Xtreme decided that, when we finished ball in September, we hated it because we wouldn't see each other until the next May. And we got really upset with that. We got fed up with it because everything changes in that time. So we decided we would launch the NFL, the Nottingham Hockey League, and we play road hockey during the winter. So Team Xtreme plays road hockey. We had a volleyball team at one point. We played baseball, 2-pitch. We pretty much do everything. And it's this really sort of family oriented because on the team it's husbands and wives and brothers and sisters and stuff like that. And we've become a really, really close-knit family, and we just enjoy playing. And so Team Xtreme sort of morphed into a whole lot of things. Well, then at one point we struggled. We had a little challenge with the league, and there was some kind of discussion with the city, and something happened or whatever. And anyway, we had to change the management of the league, and we couldn't use the old league name either. So we created the CFFL, and I guess what I normally do, I built a brand around it called the CFFL. And the co-ed fanny, I became one of the co-conveners, myself and my friend Shane Cuthbert from the Stonehands team.
Oh, yeah.
And we took over the league, and within, at the time that we took it over, there was a lot of fighting on the field and a lot of, mixed messaging and stuff like that. And we all we did was we put in 2 captains meetings a year. We met in the spring before the league started, and we met in the fall as a wrap up. And we hammered out a set of rules that everybody went by, that were, fair and all that sort of stuff. Everybody paid their league fees on time, and we're 5 years into the CFFL, and it's running so well right now. Jermaine, we have 8 teams that play, and it's, we have 10 teams in the league. We've tried to shrink it, and we just keep getting teams. So anyway, it's a ton of fun. I like to say I had a little something to do with, trying to make it run as well as it is. It's unfortunate that the city keeps jacking up the price of diamonds, but, overall it's Sunday morning ball, and it's a ton of fun. So,
well, and way to go. I mean, starting it from that to where it is now, right?
Pretty much, and some of it's just really about branding. It's something I love to do, I built this logo.
But it's more than that. I think it has something to do with your energy, Mr. Peckham, I would say.
Oh, my goodness.
There's definitely, well, I'll say it. And I mean, you look around your group that you have, and you're good. I know that some of the
great group
you hang with. It's a fantastic group, right? And, you and I have had our serious discussions about who you hang around with and choices and all that sort of stuff. We're on the same page there. And it shows in everything that you do. And I know for a fact, because we've had this conversation before too, that especially when it comes to family, if anything gets in the way of that, like, look out, right?
It's interesting you mentioned that, Dave, to take it back to family too, because you're right. I mean, in terms of family, and even in the team, because this is kind of an extended family, right? Yep. I mean, I only really have one rule in my house. It's real simple. And everything else is derived from that. And that the rule is simply, don't ever make me choose between you and my family.
Fair enough.
Because you're going to lose. I mean, it's you know what? I mean, I will back my family, right or wrong. They're my family, and I will stand behind them 100%. And I would do the same with my ball team and with Team Xtreme and that kind of thing. And my closest friends, we're there. As long as you don't make me choose, we're in great shape.
We're good. Yeah, no, that's a great rule to live by. I knew an hour wasn't going to be enough. We're already 33 minutes in.
Oh my goodness, where does the time go?
And we'll just let's say hello to the people who are watching again.
Yeah, for sure.
We've got some people out there. We've reached over 1,000 people on this broadcast already, which is
fantastic. Wow, that's awesome.
For those of you who are watching, please come over and watch us from the Facebook page, the Video Show Network, and make some comments, engage with us, ask a question, tell a funny story if you can share that about our friend Jay.
I would be careful with that one.
Well,
There's some funny stories out there.
And if there's somebody watching who's got their webcam and their microphone, there's a link in the description under this video. I would really hope somebody to come on and just say hi to myself and Jay and talk with us, or make the comments here once again on the Video Show Network page. I've got a few more topics, and probably one I'll leave till last. It's the P word. We'll get to that.
Okay.
But you recently took on this live streaming thing, and I'm glad to see you doing that, because I kind of always thought you would when we started Behind the Net with the Sarnia Sting.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he's going to pick up on this, and I'm glad that you did, because now you're doing something also that's important to you, and you've even got your own brand going. I'm super proud of you for this, by the way. I really am. I'm super proud of you. I'll take a tiny bit of credit for encouraging you.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Losing Weight with Peckham is a group that you've created, and I see you've let's say a shout out to our friends at BeLive TV, because this is the platform they've created, and I have to say, I can't wait for Monday, because BeLive TV has got some huge, amazing announcements. I
heard that. That's amazing. I'm looking forward to some of those things. Yeah, and
they're taking the engagement and with Facebook, and they're taking it from here to here.
Yeah,
Monday. It's going to be amazing, but we'll that's another show. But Losing Weight with Peckham, that's the group, and I know this is something else that's important to you. Everything you do is important to you. You just don't do it, but
yeah, absolutely.
This is growing very well for you.
It is. It started off. As everything, it started off with it started off honestly sitting around in my backyard having a beer and think, well, there's another great idea.
Those are the best
see
ones.
Where this goes. So. And honestly, a quick shout out to our friends at Blackburn Radio, because the truth is, Losing Weight with Peckham sort of started there to a degree.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, because they had a Get Out, Get Fit challenge started at the start of the year. While I'm a little critical of it, it doesn't matter. It started something for me. What ended up happening was, I didn't think anything of it. I've been 275 plus pounds for the majority of my life.
Yeah.
And the vast majority of my life right now. And, in that time I've been up and down, and I have tried diets, and I've tried everything, and I knew about lifestyle changes, and, I underappreciate that, me and those stupid Krispy Kremes were going to get into a war someday. But, I've been up and down. I've been as low as 230 and as high as 290.
So what's different about this?
Well, what happened was in December, when I heard about the challenge with Blackburn Radio, I literally just put it out on Facebook. Are there any of my friends? They were looking for teams of 6 to 10 people to go into a team competition to try and lose the highest average weight loss per team. Right, and they would get a prize, and they got some big prizes from Lambton Mall and a bunch of other stuff. And I just put it out on Facebook, thought, you know what? Yeah, it's January 1st. I need a New Year's resolution like I do every year. What the heck? Let's lose weight again this year. And I just put it out on thing. And within less than 5 minutes, I had 14 people that said, yeah, I'm in, let's do it. And I'm like, okay, and I'm like, so we ended up having to split it into 2 teams because they didn't want to go over 10. So we ended up with 2 teams. And then I had to come up with some kind of way to sort of share some of my advice, because I wanted my team to do well, right? So I had to put together something.
You wanted to win.
Okay, it's true. I wanted to win. And we this close, man. Just like everything we do at Team Xtreme, we're this close. But anyway, so I put it out, and so I put this package together, and I packaged it as sort of Losing Weight with Peckham as a Facebook group, so that so my friends and we could all kind of share and stuff, because a big part, what I found was a big part of building a healthier lifestyle is really trying to create greater engagement with the people who are involved. So it's really about trying to keep them as active in what you're doing and as engaged in those things as possible. So that's where I turned to Facebook to do that. And that was working for a little bit. I was able to share some documents, and we shared some stories and some tips and some, some information and all those sorts of things. And then, sort of the challenge came and went. And at one point I decided, you know what, maybe it's appropriate now to sort of open this up to the public. So I got permission from everybody that was there, because at that point we really had a product, honestly, and it was a product that seems to work for some people. It's not necessarily for everybody. Weight loss and a healthy lifestyle is really sort of it's a very personal approach in some cases. What works for one doesn't always work for everybody.
Well, I mean, that's probably why it's $1 trillion industry, right?
Well, and it is. It's just a ridiculously big industry. So, so the truth is, I decided to package it up and put it on Facebook. And then, when you first showed me BeLive.tv, I thought, wow, what a great tool for driving engagement. I got maybe a face for radio, but this was a good platform, and I jumped in and I did one or two, and it was really funny because I did one or two and I didn't see much come back from it. There weren't a lot of comments. There weren't a lot of anything. Nope. So I started honestly getting kind of discouraged, and I thought, what the heck's going on here?
It's a tricky kind of. It is kind of. I've been live streaming even before I started my weekly show. So I've seen a lot of changes from the live streaming world, and it's really at that tipping point right now with what Facebook's allowing with BeLive TV. And it's a whole new world.
Sure, it is.
And I always say to people, you know what? We're just one big city now, because the borders are gone. I mean, in the BeLive groups, and I've become a mentor for training people to use BeLive, and there's about 5 or 6 of us, and it's just getting over that fear of just going live. Right?
Yeah, and you're right, and it very much is that. But then, the interesting thing for me Dave, was I went 3 weeks without actually doing a broadcast.
Yeah.
And I started running into people that are going, dude,
where's your broadcast?
What are you doing? Where's your broadcast? Yeah. I'm like, you were watching that? And they're like, oh, yeah. So, you know what? As much as we're talking about BeLive, the truth is it is a wonderful platform, but you know what, folks, stay with it, because the feedback might not be immediate, but it's there. I think it really is an incredible tool if you've got something to say.
Absolutely. And I can tell you from experience, it'll be in November, it'll be 6 years of me doing my weekly local show. Mm-hmm. And I always compare it back to my karaoke days. When I ran karaoke, I always knew who was there because I saw you in person, right? I knew.
Yeah.
I knew how many people were in the room, and I knew their names. And now I know how many people watch, but I don't. I have people come up to me on the street in Sarnia and go, "Oh, you're that Dave Burrows guy? I watch your show every week." And I'm like, "Wow,
yeah."
Don't even know who you are, right? Which don't get me wrong, I love the love, but I think it's still a form of social media, and it's a new form of social media. Well, it's not new, but that's another story. But it's becoming known as the new social media, and like anything else, like losing weight, like quitting smoking, making money, we want it now.
Yes,
right? We want the results right now. Losing weight, we want to work out 10 minutes a day and lose 50 pounds.
Yep. Yeah,
right.
For sure.
And we want to make $1 million. But we want it last week. So it's the same thing with live streaming. You have to learn to get. Again, my show, I've got close to 2,000 likes on my one page and just over 1,000 on the network. I've been doing this for 6 years, full time, right? So you're right, though. You have to consistency and persistency in this world.
Absolutely.
And just share it. And like folks that are watching tonight, that's why we say please share, this link around. Right now in the live streaming world, Jay, I'll tell you this. The majority of views that you get is after the live stream ends.
Yep.
The majority of people watch the replay.
Oh, absolutely.
Like
And I
we're
get
already at a
that.
couple hundred right now,
Yep.
and it'll be beyond 500 by morning.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? And it's terrific. Like I said, I mean, I can't say enough. I like this platform. Losing Weight with Peckham, Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. And we talk about on that show. We talk about lots of different things, but it really is about sort of goal setting. I think again, as with anything I do, Dave. I mean, I want to say, having the right vision is really what's important to me. And I think, everything else it comes, if you have the right vision. And for me, the vision for Losing Weight with Peckham was really about understanding your goals. Weight loss is not a goal. I want to say that this is one of my key messaging things for Weight Loss with Peckham. Weight loss is not a goal. It's a means to an end. Okay. The goal is with weight loss is what kinds of things is your current lifestyle, your current weight preventing you from doing. That's your real goal. That's the real goal. The weight loss is a bonus. It's a means to get to that point.
Okay, fair enough.
For me, I love riding roller coasters. And one of the most mortifying moments in my life was when my sons and I had waited almost an hour and a half in line at Cedar Point to get the front seat on the Raptor roller coaster. Oh, yeah. And they couldn't get the buckle done up, and they asked me to get off because I was literally too big for the ride.
Ouch.
Dude,
in front of your kids.
Yeah. And now my kids rode it, and they had fun and everything like that, but it was traumatic for me. And I think, that for me is the quintessential part of this. It's not losing weight that is going to change. That's not what's going to keep me engaged. The desire to lose weight is not going to keep me engaged. Wanting to ride a roller coaster with my sons again and not get thrown off because I'm too fat, that's a goal.
Well, I can say the same goal. I'll be 2 years quit smoking July 24th.
Good for you.
Thanks. And boy, was I stupid for 35 years.
You know what?
But
I share it. I started smoking when I was 11, dude, and I've been off 12, and on since then.
And it was my son, and Jennifer too. But it was my Jennifer never smoked a day in her life.
Oh boy, yeah, And
then of course, so when we moved in together, there was some rules, and then my son actually, and I tell this story all the time. Basically, I was hiding my cigarettes in my house.
See, that's that secret thing again, right?
My son wouldn't find them because he said, if I find those, Dad, I'm going to rip them up and throw them in the garbage. So wait a minute. I'm the dad.
Exactly.
And I'm hiding my cigarettes in my house from my teenage son.
Yep.
I went out and I forgot my cigarettes, and I came back, and there'd only been 2 out of the pack. So it was a brand new pack. And I went to my hiding spot, and they were gone. And they were in the garbage, all ripped up, but when we're in my secret hiding spot, he left a note, and he left a note said, "I don't care if you ground me for life, blah blah blah, whatever. I love you, and I don't want you to die."
Yeah, you know what? And my kids, we've had exactly, and I mean, it's those moments, right? That drive.
I already knew that, right?
Absolutely.
This is the
but knowing it and having a passion for it are two completely different things.
Well, it was the impact I knew it was having on him, on my family, on Jennifer. Yeah, I knew it. Yeah,
absolutely
right. It was just time to smarten up.
For sure.
So I hear where you're coming from with that. Okay, let's move. Boy, we're gonna have to do another show.
Twist my arm.
I'm looking for something here. Okay, real quick on what's coming up here with your golf tournament, and then I want to get to the P word.
Okay, perfect. So I'll make it real quick. During the day, so all of this other stuff I do for fun. That's what I do to feed me, feed my soul. To feed my wallet, I do St. Francis Advocates, and it's awesome because honestly...
What is that?
Okay, so St. Francis Advocates, we are a developmental service agency where we support we provide residential supports for adults with autism and developmental disabilities. So we have 12 residences where we support these folks. That goes from Port Franks all the way down to Harrow, and you just get close to Windsor. And 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's an amazing organization because, like me, and one of the I want to say about St. Francis, I love working there because as much as I make fun of the fact that it feeds my wallet because it pays my bills, but the truth is that they have a real vision for how they do this, and truthfully, it matches with me. Like having that vision piece is really, really important. And with St. Francis Advocates, they were born out of the idea that that people supported, or people who are facing challenges where they need supports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they are people first.
Right.
And they have the same rights as I do as a human being. And it's our job as an agency that provides supports to see that they can get those things, to see that those rights are exercised and utilized and expanded upon, and that they can do things. And so it's this very much a passion for supporting people who have challenges supporting themselves, and it's just really, really, really rewarding work, is what I want to say. And we do it in a very family oriented. We are guests in their home, right? So that's the way we treat it. So, but it is still very much a family sort of thing. We are their family in a lot of cases as well. So, anyway, an amazing organization. And
there's nothing wrong with making a living and making a difference at the same time.
Absolutely right. So I've been with St. Francis now for 4 years, and this will be my fourth tournament, but this is their 11th annual golf tournament. Nice. It's a fundraising tournament, and all of the money that we raise at our golf tournament goes to support sort of community-based opportunities, right? Okay. So being able to get the people that we support out into our communities where they can be active and engaged and that sort of thing. And that's what the money for this goes to do, because we are 100% funded by the Ministry of Community and Social Services. But unfortunately, those funds are, as with all government funds, they're kind of limited. So this is an opportunity to do some really great stuff for an incredible group of people that don't get the same kind of opportunities that the rest of us do. So it's June 23rd, Friday, June 23rd. It's at Sandhills Golf Course in Port Franks. Okay. Which is a wonderful golf course. We started registration at 8:30. There's breakfast and a brunch, and we shotgun start at 10 o'clock. You'll be done with dinner by about 4:30, 5 o'clock. You'll be out on your way home. It's a great time and a wonderful course. And if they want to go to our website, it's www.mysfa.org, and they can find more information on the events page about our golf tournament, or check us out on Facebook, St. Francis Advocates. We are on Facebook as well, and they can check us out there, and there's more information about our golf tournament. That's awesome. That sounds like a lot of fun, especially if you're going to be there. Jay Peckham. Well, and I help organize the price of entry alone. Absolutely. Come buy me a beer. See how well I officiate at the end. I could do that. All right. Now, I've saved this one for the last because we're almost out of time. But I'm glad you did. The P word, we call it, politics. Yeah. And this is, I don't know. I don't know who's watching right now, and I struggle with a lot of just locally, right? Just talk locally. I struggle with a lot of different things. Everybody's struggling right around here, including our representatives, right? There's no absolutely. It doesn't matter who you like or don't like, or who you voted for or didn't vote for. They're really all struggling in their own ways emotionally. There's 100 things going on. I don't even know how to ask the question, because you're not supposed to, right? Let me see if I can sort of jump in there because,
Yeah,
as
please.
you're probably aware, I may have an opinion on the subject.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's okay. You fire away, man. I mean, I know you'll
Well,
keep it real and keep it positive, right?
yeah, and you know what? For me, here's the thing. Okay, the thing is that we live in a society right now where we have some incredible challenges as a society at the moment, and they're just things we really probably haven't fully understood yet in terms of the impact the internet and things have had on our lives. The amount of information that is available out there right now is enormous. I mean, it's more than, the sum total of human knowledge is effectively available through the internet. And because of that, it's not necessarily all good information. As much as I love this platform and Be Live, and that everybody has a chance to have a voice and to be vocal about what they're thinking and what they're feeling and those kinds of things, the real challenge is that with this incredible massive information, how does one sort through and find the real, that element of truth in all of that? And I think we as a society have a challenge in the fact that we jump to conclusions a lot. We hear some cursory information, we make snap judgments, and then all of a sudden we're an expert on anything. And I think that's a problem.
I rely on Google probably just as much or more than most people. Mm-hmm. But I've learned to be selective because Google's like the graffiti of the wall of the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's, if you have a bad experience with network marketing companies, perfect example, right? Network marketing, you can Google any network marketing company and find all kinds of bad stuff. They were sued about this and sued about that. You know what? Google Microsoft lawsuits.
Oh, for sure.
They get sued for $1 million a day every day of their life, but nobody. So it's all that interpretation but that filter,
right?
And how do we? And then we have to teach our children this too. Like my son knows politics.
And even if you take just what you said, what you've just said in a live public forum is that Microsoft gets sued for $1 million a day every day of the year. And some people might hear that information, and what they hear is Microsoft's a bad company.
They're Googling it right now.
And I'm sure they are. And then they're going to hear Microsoft bad, Google good, Microsoft bad. And what I'm telling you is, of those $1 million lawsuits, how many of them can be discounted because it's somebody after $1 million? Just after $1 million, right? Microsoft, I didn't take the time to learn it. I used it inappropriately, and now I want to sue Microsoft for $1 million. I got to tell you something.
Let's talk hot coffee at McDonald's. Like, really?
Okay, but no. And here's one that's even better. Here's one that's even better, Dave. And then I'll get back to the local community politics.
Okay, go ahead. And you know what? We can go over time. It's my show.
There you go.
Just keep going.
So I when I was taking business administration, my law professor in second year, I think it was, Doug Beatty, wonderful individual. I love this man. And we had a case study about a guy who he needed to clear some snow off of his barn roof. So he took a ladder and he put it up on top of a frozen pile of manure, okay? Put his ladder up, climbed up the thing, and he got to the top, was scraping the snow off, and he fell. The ladder came down, blah, blah, blah. He sued the manufacturer of the ladder company because there wasn't a sign on it that says, do not erect on a frozen dung heap. And the dude won. Okay, now, what do you do with that? I mean, really, what do you do with that?
Pile of crap.
I'm telling you, it's a big stinking hole. But anyway.
There's a whole website dedicated to these stupid people, like the lady that got put her car in cruise control and hopped in the back seat of the car because she thought it would drive. Like, you can't make this stuff up.
And you know what? And I think that's the other side of this information overload too. Thank you, my buddy Kip.
Kip. Hi, Kip. Kip's awesome. But I have to say, I'm disappointed that Kip didn't come on camera. Kip,
next time we'll get him next time.
I'm a little bummed out, man.
But I think the other thing that I think is really unfortunate right now is the extent to which we currently in our Western society celebrate stupidity. I think
that's a good way of putting it.
You know what? For the minute and a half of Here Comes Honey Boo Boo that I actually watched, you'll never give me that minute and a half back, and I begrudgingly will want it back. The truth is, we celebrate ridiculous behavior, we celebrate stupidity, we celebrate idiocy, we celebrate ignorance.
Are we too sensitive?
And I think it's bad. I think that's just a really, really bad trend. So the kind of shows I love to watch, I love Big Bang Theory. Big Bang Theory is a bunch of smart guys, but they're smart guys, So let's celebrate a little intelligence every now and again.
Yeah. Are we too sensitive, Jay?
You know what? I think there's part of that. I think it's not necessarily sensitivity, Dave. I think for me, it's that rush to judgment. It's that it's just accepting that cursory information at face value. It's really unfortunate that we don't spend our time digging deeper anymore. I mean, and who's got the time for that, really? And I think that's part of it. It's just the nature of the beast right now. But
the problem too is I remember the days of drive-throughs when it was okay to have a few cars in front of you. Now, if we go to a drive-through and there's a car in front of you, it's too damn slow.
Absolutely. So anyway, let's just turn the dime real quick to the local politics scene.
Yeah, sure.
Because I think, given all of that information, I think we have some unfortunate things going on down at City Hall. I think I think that there is what we're seeing is evidence of a real systemic problem. You can't point your finger at any one person or any one thing for what's going on down there, because there's a collective of challenges. Someone develops a management style that may be a little bit inappropriate. This is that here's my norm, but if I do this, okay, that's okay for a little bit, that becomes my norm. Now we're shifting. Now I can do this because that's the new norm. And eventually, through this thing, you get to the point where it's now so far from where it really should be that, it's unacceptable. It doesn't matter. It's unacceptable. It was unacceptable then. It's unacceptable now. So I think we have to be careful of that. The world has changed in the way and in our acceptance of certain attitudes and values and ways of doing things. And I think we have to be different, and we have to embrace change. And I think we have to be visionary. My real problem with leadership right now, Dave, in general in Canada and around the world, is that we have a distinct lack of real leaders anymore. I mean, when was the last time we can say that we had one of those sort of earth-changing leaders? How far back do we have to go? I mean, we're talking about the 60s and 70s,
You're talking about in a good way.
We're in a good way, absolutely.
There was dictators that had an impact and changed the world, right? But
sure, absolutely. But the people who did it in a good way. I mean, when was the last time we had a Gandhi or a Nelson Mandela or some of these people, or Mother Teresa or whatever?
I was going to give a name of an example, but I'd probably offend some people. But and it didn't matter because we put them on a cross anyway. I mean, who are we? Are we as a society not like they're out there? But are we? Maybe we're not listening to them, or maybe we're not following them, or maybe are we giving those people a chance? I'll come back to local politics, and I'll see you did this to me. You got me going. And actually, local councillors have made this statement. I'm not saying anything bad. I've been asked. I know you have been, and others have been asked to run for council in this city. And are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, where's the incentive? Where's the incentive to go into public service?
No, it's not attractive. I mean,
no, not at all.
Even on a good side of the political world, you're going to get beat up a little bit. You got to have some rhino skin. But
for sure.
But even rhinos have cracks, right? And I don't think.
Well, and I mean and anymore, it's not even just about putting yourself in that arena. I mean, you have to accept that if you're going to jump into that forum in a public and be a part of the public forum, that it's your family that's in that forum as well. I mean, you're taking them along whether you like it or not. I mean, and who wants to do that again?
Yeah, well, okay, but then that's when courage comes in, and we've seen some big, but then a guy like you, and I'll make you eat your own words, is don't make me choose between me and my family because you'll lose. Yeah. So in that case, if you were elected as a counselor or any political figure, and your family's getting beat up on now because of you being in politics, but you're elected to serve me, not your see where the problem comes in, right?
Yeah, and you know what? And again, you're right. It's a problem, and I mean, I think this is part of the nature of leading.
Single guys, single women only should be allowed to run for politics.
Well, you know what? And again,
I'm in trouble in the morning.
I think the dilemma, to go back to it, is that visionary leadership. The concept of the benevolent dictator is. Did
you see that on I posted something about that the other day.
You did, and it's interesting because I love the concept of a benevolent dictator. I really do.
That was my grade 9 computer teacher said. Benevolent dictator, and this is before computers, but he was my grade 9 computer teacher.
Yep.
He said, "You're gonna love me. I'm a benevolent dictator." And that was the first time I heard it. Anyway,
absolutely, and that's what in my house I'm a benevolent dictator. Let me tell you, that's the way it works.
Jennifer's the benevolent dictator in my house.
yeah, for sure. But I think it takes there's an internal strength that somebody jumping into office has to have, and you have to respect that. I think the real challenge is that trying to find someone who has both the internal strength to do it and some sort of broad perspective, visionary approach. Finding those things together is a real rarity anymore. And that's where we're not having charismatic leaders, because the truth is, you're right. The what's in it for me is you have to be prepared to eat it if you're going to go into public office. And public scrutiny these days is a real challenge for people who are not that public.
Yeah.
It's just,
well, and I mean, what do people want? And so there's going to be another show here, but people need to educate themselves better too, I think, in what politics is, who they're voting. Okay, I'll give you an example. Here's my ego, but this is the truth. I've had people come up to me and say, "Oh, Dave, you should run for mayor." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" And they're like, "Yeah, I'd vote for you."
Yep.
And I look at them and I say, "Well, you're stupid." If for a friend like Jay Peckham that said that to me, I'd say that. But I mean, really, I don't qualify as no way. And nor should you vote for me. But the fact that you would and you think that I should says to me that you're voting for somebody for the wrong reasons.
Right, and 100%. I think the problem is that the court of public opinion. No, but really, it's the court of public opinion that matters anymore. The truth doesn't matter anymore.
Right?
And I think that's a big part of the challenge. If you're not liked in the public, then you're never going to get anything done. And if you are liked in the public, you can be liked whether you have the skill set for the role or not. I mean, we're seeing that in the United States of America, as much as I'm at risk of offending.
Whatever do you mean?
Well, the skill set to be a billionaire playboy is not the same skill set that you need to be the president of the United States.
Well, I'm waiting for Hulk Hogan to run. And actually, it's not far from the truth. The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, has put out hints of running.
Yeah, and you know what? And the unfortunate part is
he'd get elected.
This brings me back to a point I was making earlier, is that I we rush to judgment these days. Maybe Dwayne Johnson has the skill set to be the president of the United States. I wouldn't know that. But I wouldn't want to rush to judgment and say that he deserves to be just because of his fame.
Or not to be.
Or not to be. Absolutely. But, fame is not, in and of itself, is not qualification for some of these lead roles.
Depends who you ask that question to, though.
Right now.
Depends who you ask that question to.
Well, you're right.
I mean,
it depends on
everybody wants to be famous. Everybody wants to be rich and famous.
I would love to be rich and famous, Dave, and
listen,
but I know that's never going to happen.
For years. I just want the money now.
Exactly.
Oh boy. Jay, I really do got to wrap it up, and I know we could keep going for hours and hours, but and you know what, we will. I see another show coming with David and Jay.
I'm okay with that.
David and Jay are going to take over the live streaming world. Jay's my friend Jay Peckham. By the way, are you coming to help me out Saturday again at the Pacers game?
I have to check with have your scheduling people call my scheduling people. We'll do lunch.
I was trying to get him to say it on video, so that I had
no, you're not going to get me till I talk to my wife. Sorry.
Jay Peckham, truly my friend Jay Peckham. Thank you so much for joining me here, and thanks
for having me, Dave.
You're welcome. Thanks to all of you for watching here tonight. And we do this every Tuesday night, 8:00 Eastern Standard Time. I hope you've enjoyed the show. A show with different topics. In fact, next week it's going to be a little more local as well. We're going to talk about Jackson Pool and a group that wants to save Jackson Pool here in the city of Sarnia. So mark that down in your calendar, 8:00 Eastern. And share this around. Help spread the word about what my friend Jay Peckham is doing in theater. And check out his Facebook page. Let's see where I got to find it. See, I've got to multitask. I was on a roll there. There's the group. If you want to check out Jay Peckham's group as well. And I can't wait till the next thing that you and I do together, the next project.
Absolutely, brother. I'm sure we'll do lots.
I have a feeling we're going to scare some people. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, everybody, thank you so much for watching. This is Live with David, and until next Tuesday night at Eastern Standard Time, take care of yourself and each other, and the rest of the world's listening. And pay attention to what you're doing to people every day. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.
All right.